Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in, right? So we're gonna cover this a little bit, right? And what we're covering is a Chris Williamson interview with Brad Wilcox, who's a researcher, and I've seen a couple of his stuff throughout the years. You know, more of a conservative researcher. Um, Works for a couple of the actually, what think tank does he work for that I remember? That leans to the right, and I'm actually going to have some things to say about that in a little bit. But we're going to first address um some of the things that he was forwarding. So the talking left, but talking left but walking right, which I found when he said that later on in the interview to Chris Williamson, I found that comment interesting, right? And I would agree with that. This is essentially what I was saying to FD Signifier about Bowser and about a couple of women like her when it comes to um feminism and female empowerment and boss girl and don't need no man and being self-reliant and what did Fannie Willis say, a man is not a plan, he's a companion. Yeah, they say all of that, but when it's time for them individually to get married, all of a sudden a man's career and his degree and his money and whether he's blue collar or not, yeah, all of that matters all of a sudden. Huh. Right. And what makes the left particularly interesting is, and what makes, once again, like I say, the radical feminists, they're right about this. And when I say radical feminists, I mean the radical feminists that engage in same-sex loving relationships. They are right about this. Straight women look straight like hypocrites. Bowser, they look like hypocrites once we start talking about this intimate relationship, because they feel ashamed for their base carnal nature that wants to practice hypergamy. That damn there needs to practice hypergamy, right? And it's not polite, and it's not really feminist, especially if we're talking about, once again, heterosexual women empowerment, feminists, right? It's not a tenet of feminism to really forward that, yeah, I believe in all of this, but when it comes to me individually, yeah, I just can't necessarily see a man that I can't respect him if he doesn't earn as much as me or more, or if he doesn't have this political view, or if he doesn't, and makes them look like real hypocrites. But of course, right? But of course, right? And so you're going to see more of this. I'm actually going to start using that quote. I think that's a really nice quote. What did he say? Talk left and walk right. Talk left and walk right. Once again, Brad Wilcox, researcher, right? So I actually really like that quote. Talk left and walk right. And there's a lot of leftist women. There's a lot of, see, they call out leftist men for this, but there's a lot of leftist women that's doing a whole lot of talking left and walking right when it comes to their intimate relationships with the opposite sex, with men. There's a whole lot of leftist women that do a whole lot of talking about female empowerment and, right, and independence and self-actualization, etc., etc. But when it comes time to get married, they're okay with marrying the hedge fund manager. All that leftist talk, you marrying the super capitalists. Huh? Yep. And so once again, I'm finding more and more, and I actually might review this tomorrow, because um what's the brother name from This Is Revolution? Jason Miles. Jason Miles interviewed a brother about um polyamory, or polygyny, I want to say, not polyamory, polygyny. Yeah, and how popular this discourse is becoming on the left. And what he finds is that it's really a lot of poor people moving in with each other, six, seven deep in a house, and they're, effing each other, right? Because they don't got no damn money. And how the left is is trying to reframe that as, liberatory. So I'm going to start trending this direction a bit, right? Which is like calling these people out for their very blatant and clear class warfare. You petite bourgeoisie people across race, where you're hoarding, once again, shout out to Dr. Richard Reeves, you're hoarding all the dreams, the opportunity, the money, the marriage, all of it, the opportunity for your children, you're hoarding all of it, the top 20%, give or take. And then you're pushing off all of the negative, right, drawbacks and all of the horrible, right, all of the trash situations. You're pushing that off to middle class, lower middle class, working poor people, and then you're rebranding it liberatory, right? The cost of your hoarding all of the opportunities, the dreams, the aspirations, hoarding all of it. That's why Dr. Richard Reeves called it dream hoarders. You're hoarding all of that. And whether you're on the left or the right, you find really interesting ways of explaining away why y'all are getting married and staying married and everyone else isn't. Either they get married and get divorced within 5 years if you're black, within 8 years if you're not black, or they never get married. And increasingly, not having children also. So Mr. Brad Wilcox is conservative. So for him, it's more of a personality issue. He really doesn't want to talk about the money too much, right? He does the character flaw thing, although that's not what he says, but he does the character flaw thing, and obviously it's more right leaning. His talk about character flaw, right? Whereas, if you speak to a leftist, they're going to speak about character flaw also with men, but the character flaw is going to be more left leaning, which is, sexism. And if you're black, then it's sexism, featureism, colorism, texturism, all the isms, right? Misogynoir, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So these people are slowly, every once in a while, admitting, yeah, class got it's a little bit okay. The money and okay. Yes, the money. Okay. Middle class people, upper middle class, rich and wealthy. Okay. They're getting married and staying married. Okay. All right. We're finally willing to admit it. But the reason is because the men in lower classes are wrong this way, and that way. Just say they don't got no damn money, right? Just say they don't got no money, right? Or they don't have the status also, right? So this is what we see happening. Once again, a growing gap between, not just because we talk about the wealth gap, we talk about income inequality, right? We talk about wealth gap between races, definitely black people and white people. We speak about that, but we don't speak about the marriage gap and who's getting married and staying married. And then who does it benefit? Very importantly, this is why I need to emphasize this, because when I say that, I don't think I emphasize this enough. When so many people aren't getting married, and from my understanding, Brad Wilcox said about 48% of people are married, right? So give or take 52% of adults, I guess, are single, or marriageable age adults are single. right? And we already know, once again, um, like the presenter from the channel Be Me said, towards the end of his presentation when it came to marriage, um, what we find is the growing class gap, right, in marriage. Who's getting married? Who's staying married? And once again, who does it benefit? Who does it benefit that the lower classes of people, men, aren't getting married, aren't having children in nuclear family, or aren't staying married, and the wealth that would be built in that and maintained and hopefully passed on to children gets destroyed in a divorce? Who does it benefit? Uh-oh. That gap is getting larger. Yikes. And that's my question to Bowser, to Chrissy, to Yanny. Huh? Y'all want to talk about female empowerment? Black woman empowerment? Who does it benefit that black women don't get married? Who does it benefit? Who does it benefit that black women get married and then torpedo the marriage within 5 years? Who does it benefit? Because let's be very clear, it doesn't even benefit the sisterhood like that. Who does it benefit? I think Chris Tucker got an answer for us. I've been saying it for the longest. Y'all are doing the bidding of the same people you wish you were with half the times. Who does it benefit? Right? And we're going to see this growing chasm. So, Chris Williamson speaks to Brad Wilcox, and, he also speaks about something that we already spoke of here, which is the divorce rate is decreasing because the marriage rate is decreasing. But not only that, a select few, the few people, well, it's not really few in the grand scheme of things, but the men and women that are getting married are less likely to get divorced because it's class. It's a class game. It's a money game. So these women, these middle class, upper middle class, rich and wealthy women, continue to push down to lower classes and forward to lower classes of women. How marriage is just a piece of paper. Excuse me. How it's not that serious. Once again, Fannie Willis. A man is not a plan. A man is a companion. They forward messages like that. Then they get married, and more often than not, stay married. They forward that to their children get married, stay married. Meanwhile, black women, uh-oh. Right? It ain't looking good, everyone. It ain't looking good. So I think, once again, knowing Brad Wilcox is a more conservative researcher, so obviously it's skewed a bit right towards the right. I would love to see Brad Wilcox and Dr. Richard Reeves speak to see, because Dr. Richard Reeves skews a bit more to the left. See what conclusions they come to. And Black Truth says, what's going on, Black Truth? And Black Truth says, HBCUs are hotbeds for feminist and liberal propaganda. Meanwhile, and what's going on, Toya? And Toya says, hit the likes. Right? Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. It is crazy because if HBCUs are a hotbed for this type of rhetoric, I want black women to understand, for the most part, you'll never earn enough. You won't. Let's say you go to HBCU. Let's say you're doing well. $80,000 a year. Right? 37, 38, 42 years old, 45 years old, you making 85, $90,000 a year. You making pretty okay money. Still not enough. Okay, you're doing better than the average, or excuse me, the median white household, which sits around 74, $75,000 a year. Let's say even 80. Let's round all the way up. Let's say 80,000. Okay, you're doing better than them. But what about your white female counterpart? Let's be honest, there's still a wealth gap between y'all, or an income gap, better yet. So while you making 85, 90, she's making 95, 100. And her husband, because let's be honest, she still practiced hypergamy while she was talking all that feminist crap with you. And once again, we're not talking about class hypergamy. We're more talking about income hypergamy. Right? So she's earning 90, 95, 100. And her man's earning 120, 135, 150. Huh. Let's say he even earns less. Let's say he earns 75. Her 90 plus his 75 versus your 85. Her 100 and his 75 versus your 90. And I want us to understand why that matters. Dear black women, they're not pricing these things. That Jag you want, that BMW, that Audi you want, right? They're not pricing that at what you can afford. They're pricing that at what they can afford. Huh? That I can do all bad all by myself sounds nice. That's a nice coping mechanism. And white women will clap it up for you in low key. Let's be honest. I'll be honest. I'll level with black women. Both of y'all envy each other. They envy your negative liberty, although they're not participating in it. Oops. And you envy their stability and their white man. And you can't get it. God damn, Z. Huh? So they preach to you for you to dig yourself further in a hole, and they can live vicariously through you and your quote unquote freedom. Right? And they'll preach to you how it's empowering. Yawn. Meanwhile, they're married with their man and they're not going anywhere. Right? Hmm. So the conservative researcher did his roundabout way of pretty much saying it's the money. It's the money in the class. Right? What's going on, Snowman? It's the money in the class. And look, Kinsey, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you for the super sticker. Right? Hmm. So, you know, Chris Williamson and Brad Wilcox, they speak about social media and some of these messages that are coming from social media, um, from the men and the women, essentially, pretty much saying it's better to be independent and single. What's the point of being married anyway? Marriage is just a piece of paper, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and to that, once again, I say that sounds good, but the upper classes of people that are preaching that are still going to get married, right? They're still going to get married. And I want to be very clear. Stay married even if they don't like each other much. Ooh, Z, ooh, 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 ooh. Black women. The black women who say, I'm not gonna settle. That white woman don't want to be with that white man. You think she didn't settle? Why? Because he makes some money. She hates the way he chews. His jokes are corny. The sex game is barely bearable. You think she didn't settle? Okay, huh? You think she didn't? What, talk about settling. Wait a minute. We got a whole group of people in the Middle East and in South Asia still doing arranged marriages. Uh-oh. And those marriages last the longest and have the lowest divorce rates. Well, will you look at that, right? So what's happening now is that these people are slowly admitting, and it's with pulling of teeth, that yeah, this is a class game. And I will say the same thing that I said earlier. Admit to working class men. Say it with your chest. Yeah, y'all don't deserve marriage. Y'all don't deserve to have children. Definitely not have children within wedlock. And yeah, so we're just gonna make polygamy legal now and have fun. Yeah, they keep on saying culture, culture. Yes, culture does matter. Absolutely, culture matters. Absolutely, culture matters. But here's the thing: give me control of the money. I'm about to sound like a whole white capitalist from the 19th century. Give me control of the money. Give me control of the banks, and I care not who makes the laws. Give me control of the money, and I guarantee I can break your culture, and it won't take me long. Right? But yeah, the culture does matter. Absolutely, culture matters. Right? Was that quote from a "Give me control of the money" or "Give me control of the banks, and I care not who makes his laws"? Was that like 19th century or was that 17th century? I can't recall. Was it even 16th? It wasn't 16th century. It was like seven. It was like it was like 18th or 19th century, something like that. Can't remember. Anyway, Lithium says culture is everything. Um, Culture is everything. The global South has more freedom and diversity than people think, but doesn't have Western feminism and degenerate culture. It's culture all day. We'll see, because America is supposed to be dumping $200 million in Pakistan for gender studies. We'll see, Lithium. Hopefully, me and you are still alive in the next 20 years and we can have that conversation, right? Thank you, Mr. S. 18th century Rothschild quote. Thank you. Wait, Mr. S is saying 18th century. Namer is saying 19th century. Spain man said 19th century. Okay, right? Lithium said fingers crossed. I'm telling you, right? And that is not me poo pooing culture being used as a defense mechanism from the predations of capitalism. So, Lithium, I'm not dismissing fully what you're saying, because I do think culture can act as a buffer, right? Culture can act as essentially a bulletproof vest, right? From the predatory nature of like, particularly this form of like very consumerist, materialistic, forms of capital that leaves you as an individual essentially lonely, right? It leaves you with no shield, no protections, and you just out here for the rich white capitalists to just sell things to, right? So I'm not. Yeah, thank you. And then Lithium says, "I understand." Z, no offense taken. Yeah, so I'm not trying to dismiss what you're saying. I do think culture acts as a buffer. I, but I'm careful not to overemphasize culture also, because I think that's what ends up happening. It's almost like speaking to a white racist, and then they point, and this is what Sarge Willie Pete speaks on all the time, right? You speak about the economic deprivation of black people and how black people are targeted for economic deprivation, and then they'll just tell you, no, it's culture, right? And like you can overcome their sabotage of the community if you would just get right with white baby Jesus and go to church and pray and keep your head down and work really hard at your minimum wage job, right? So yeah, thank you. And Jake says culture helps rein in human nature, right? Yes. And I mean it like, hey, if we really wanted to, like, if I took me, just about all of us that heavily participate in the Black Manosphere, and we were on some muhaha stuff, and you gave us a couple $1 trillion to play with, do you understand what we could do to other communities in America? If you gave us a couple $1 trillion to play with, okay, who everybody think is bulletproof out here? Asians? You know what we could do to the Asian community if we was on some muhaha stuff and you gave us, let's say, $3 trillion, $4 trillion to play with, and we wanted to crush them. Do you know what we could do to them in a span of a couple decades, if even that long? Right? Give Z 1 second. And we're back. I'm sorry, y'all. But yeah, so yeah, if you gave me and y'all a few $1 trillion to play with, and we want some muhaha stuff, yeah, we could break other people. If you think their culture is that strong, watch this, right? And by the way, not even look like we doing it on purpose. That's the beautiful part. Doing it and not even look like you're doing it on purpose, right? Mm. So, and I said this years ago, and exactly, Drake. I said Drake. Jake. I called you Drake. Degrassi. Okay. And Jake says black women and white women have always been opposed. The black woman craves structure while being burdened with negative liberty. White women, sexual anarchy, and to be unmoored from white men's expectation of quote unquote family. Look, yes, and I said something similar. Ooh, how long ago was that on Roger's channel? That was maybe Roger's second channel. I said that like 2019, maybe, and I agree. By the way, I agree. By the way, and what we have now, excuse me, and this is why I was so annoyed with Bowser and her rhetoric, and with a lot of these supposed leftists and their rhetoric, black women leftists, also with even though they don't align politically so much, Chrissy and Yanni, and that's why I continue to emphasize Paris Milan and her marriage, because these people talk all this crap and then they turn around and get married, right? And like, and even especially with the FDs of the world and whatnot, or foreign man in a foreign land, like, and what kills me is if you see foreign man in a, excuse me, not foreign man in a foreign land, but when you see FD signifier and how he speaks on his channels, not so much the third one, but the primary two, FD signifier and B side FD signifier, you see how he speaks there, but then you see how he spoke to T Noir on her channel, or how he spoke on his third channel to this guy name is Mac and Murphy, right? And you see how much he does understand hypergamy, how he does understand women's hypocrisy, particularly leftist women that occupy the same camp as him. And he understands the nature of women to want to date and marry across, right? And he understands when he was on T Noir's channel that what these women are asking for, leftist women, aspirational women, right? Aspirational leftist women, and how what they're asking for and what they're holding out for and why they're single, they're actually asking for patriarchy. And him and T Noir both looked at each other like, I ain't gonna tell him. I ain't gonna tell him. In other words, I'm not going to tell the women that that's what they're looking for, right? And Toya says, and thank you for this. And Toya says, upon further research, the quote, "Give me control of a nation's money. I care not who makes its laws," was recorded in 1790, so the 18th century, thus making it 18th century. Thank you, Toya. Yeah, right. So somebody was right. Who was right? Let me see. As we would say it 18th and 19th and 18th and 19th. Okay, yeah. It's 18th. It's 18th. Right. So I covered this tonight because I think we are reaching a demarcation where, as we said earlier with the Cat Williams thing, 2024 is going to be the year of exposure, and I think we're just going to continue that for the rest of the decade. Right? Hold on to your hats. Mr. S was right. Thank you, Spaceman. Right? Hold on to your hats. Because now these people are admitting more and more that's a class game. And so, as I said before, is it that bluer collar working men and non-college educated men and working poor and working class men, is it that they have that much character flaw compared to their middle class, upper middle class, rich and wealthy brethren? Is that what it is? Or is it simply that we have created a world, right? Or we maybe return to a world, maybe that's how I should frame it. We've returned to a world where wealth is that important, where money and income and status is that important to even dating and then marriage. Maybe I need to frame this in longer than just a 2 and 3 century long window. In a 4 century, maybe we need to go back to feudal era and maybe even before feudal era, right? Which I don't remember when there was a before feudal era, right? What are we going back to, like hunter gatherer? Anyway, maybe that's what this needs to be framed. Maybe we are returning to this and going through the growing pains of seeing a very overt gap in the outcomes of different people dependent on class and income. We always knew it was there, but it's becoming even more blatant day by day, right? Huh. Maybe that's a conversation that needs to be had. But once again, as I continue to say on my channel, what will not happen to Mr. Brad Wilcox, who's a white conservative man, so your daughters are probably going to get married and have children within wedlock. What will not happen is the masses of men that upper middle class, some middle class, rich and wealthy women look down on, that these working class men continue to prop up the society for those women to look down on those men. That's not going to happen. And the women of these men's classes that, well, look down on them also, particularly in the black community, what won't happen is that these women get to come back to us on the other side of 47, 50. And what will also not happen is that we subsidize these women when they return. Right? Huh. So of course, Brad Wilcox, of course, he does the more conservative thing and speaks about church and religion and the happiest. Pretty much put it this way: for him, the happiest people. This is what he said. The research is showing, are people with a religious base, people that are married, people that have children within wedlock that are married, are like the happiest people, right? Those are like the happiest people. Contrary to popular belief, more recent data, because women like to, and y'all can start throwing this in black women's faces, because they like to do this in reverse. Contrary to popular belief, more recent data shows that married women are actually happier than single women. Uh-oh. Remember how they kept on telling us that single women are happier? They tell us single women live longer. Yeah, married women are happier than single women. And I want to be very clear. If a woman wants to be single, black woman wants to be single, you know, great for her. But implied in that, let's be very clear where that statement comes from. Implied in that is, particularly in the black community, is that single black women are happier because they don't have to be in relationship with loser black men. Because black men are a burden. Black men are the problem in the black community. So single black women are happier because they don't have to be with the burden that is black men. Y'all all done heard my old ball and chain coming from these old white dudes? That's black women. Black men are their ball and chain, and not even a good one. It's not even worth it. That's why they torpedoed the marriage within 5 years. And thank you for the super chat, Afro National. Thank you for the super chat. And he says, genius analysis as usual, Mr. Z. And thank you very much. Right. And it goes says, those savage, insufferable, unlikable black men. Exactly. Exactly. And like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Exactly. Insufferable black men. A scourge on the black community. Right. what they call black men the white supremacists of the black community, black men are the weakest link, all type of craziness, right? Now, Mr. Brad Wilcox also says if you error if you angle this direction, which is like marriage is a horrible deal, if that's the direction you go, and then your marriage is probably gonna fail. Uh-oh. Saint Cyr hysterical. Saint Cyr says, what's the name of what's the one Rick Ross song? These Negroes can't hold me back. Exactly. Exactly. Right? Black women's theme song. Right? So I'll cover this because I think the class talk. I really want to emphasize the class talk. We need to emphasize the class talk when it comes to marriage and relationships, right? Because what that ends up, that's an S15. My bad, y'all. Car talk. Z, stay focused. I just saw a great S. If you're not a car person, you won't understand. It's a S chassis Nissan that never came to America, and somebody in South Florida got a great S15 rolling around here. Okay. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Um, I think this will inoculate us from a lot of this character flaw talk because it really is the money in the class. It really is the money in the class. And we've been saying that in the black manosphere for a while. Y'all know Mr. Z came in the door saying that, right? It's the money in the class, right? And it's the money in the class of the men. I want to be very clear. Of the men, not the women. Of the men. Right? And so, going to what Brad Wilcox said, that's why a lot of the women are talking black. I'm just saying talking black and sleeping white. I was about to say talking black and sleeping white, which they are, but that's why a lot of the women are talking left and walking right. Because when it comes time to get married, they don't mean none of that leftist stuff they were saying earlier, right? Sounds nice, right? I think the talk about class really speaks to something because what we're actually saying, and if we're going to get right to it, to sum it all up, working class men are deserving of marriage and relationship and children, and definitely not children out in wedlock. Absolutely not. And that's the part that like nobody wants to actually say, right? Because if you want to talk about feudalism, oh boy, what the hell? Right? I'm sorry, y'all. Like Uber drivers just be stopping in the middle of the road to let people out. So yeah, that's what y'all heard the what the hell for. And so I think that's a much more manageable conversation to speak about the money and the class aspect, and then tell people, women, and the elites what that's actually going to mean for them. Right? I think that's way more of a manageable conversation to have than the constant these dudes are not they not washing their behind and they smell like whatever and they don't right, mediocre dudes who don't take showers and wear the same clothes for 3-4 days out all of this character flaw and hygiene conversation would might be a thing for certain dudes, but that's not the issue, ladies. Right, all of this misogynoir conversation and texturism and featureism and no, stop it. It's the money in class conversation. And in our case, it's the black celebrity men who date and marry non-black women or racially ambiguous black women or, light-skinned black women or black women that just don't look like you. Right? Yeah. As I said, I think the conversation about money, class, education, and the side effects of selling our daughters on that is the be all end all, and all the other character stuff matter after all of that, which, okay, I get it. The side effect of that is what we have here. And effectively, it's going to equal polygamy. Effectively. I'm not speaking about whether it should be legal or not. I'm saying effectively what we're saying will equal polygamy. Right? Because if we're controlling for who gets married, who stays married, how does this look in, oh wow. How this looks in 10, 15 years, if even that long. I do think what you will see is more of this, and that's going to have an effect on whether your young men even want to participate in this society. I said will. Z, get your life together. It is having an effect on whether your young men want to participate in this society. Yesterday I made fun and I was saying, what's the incentive, right? No, for real though, what's the incentive? Like, I was joking, but I wasn't joking. No, for real, what is the incentive? Because we've optimized for upper classes of men and women to have the greatest life. Once again, dream hoarders. The greatest life. The best, not even just the best opportunities, more and more, damn near all the opportunities. And if what you're going to tell working class men is, yeah, so you're going to live precarious and you aren't going to have a spouse to yourself, and you're going to live gig life, gig economy life type of situation. That I actually was listening to when I was listening to This Is Revolution earlier, and they were speaking about professors and how many professors are actually like kind of living paycheck to paycheck also, because they're not tenured, and like they kind of have them living the gig life also, which is like they work at this school here for a couple of classes and courses, and then they work at this other school over here for a couple of classes and courses, and they got to piece together these classes to like make a living. Yeah, so that is permeating the entire society. But who does it hit first, and who does it hit the hardest? Of course, the people on the bottom, right? Right. And give me a second, Dr. Thunder. I see your comment, but it's gonna take me about 15 or 20 minutes to actually read it because I'm jumping on the expressway. Right. Huh. So I think this is something that we're going to see more and more. They're going to slowly admit to us, hey, yeah, that money class thing. Well, did you forget that you created a society to benefit your daughters over your sons, and what that means for your sons? I mean, like, your sons are going to be good. They're going to be spoiled for choice. But like men in general, yeah, no. Your individual sons, oh yeah, they're gonna be spoiled for choice. I mean, y'all did rig the game for your sons, your individual sons. Particularly you, like upper middle class, like white dudes, your sons are gonna be spoiled for choice. Everybody else, though, remember, these are the same people that want to keep on talking to you about countrymen and nation and right and common narratives and all that other crap, right? And a nation's mythology and all this other stuff that they don't actually believe in. Meanwhile, once again, Dr. Richard Reeve, dream hoarders, they hoard the opportunities and the dreams and the women and the marriage and the money. Huh? You know, there's something that happens in Europe every time these people, hoard the dreams and the opportunities and the marriage and the women. And yeah, it ain't looking good. It ain't looking good. Right? Huh. So, this is why I like, the non-manosphere stuff sometimes. Oh, I'm not gonna do that again. Nope. Nope. I'm sorry, y'all. Not gonna do that again. No, it's one of the it's the exit that I take to go home. That yeah, every once in a while. So they block it off late night sometimes. Um, Roundabout way to get to the house, and so what I'm doing is going home the other way. Wait a minute, we can't go that way either. Okay, fine. And I'm sorry, y'all. Making sure Mrs. E don't die on the expressway. This is why I see if you stream while you're driving. This is why I told Dr. Thunder give me a minute because can't look at my phone right now. Just gotta pay attention to the road. Yeah, like, and then they block the next exit also. So like you see people like kind of stuck on the shoulder. I'm like, God, that sucks. Because a take from experience, one of the scariest moments in the world is going from a dead stop on the expressway on the shoulder, like trying to keep momentum with traffic from a dead stop, right? That part, right? So, continuing. No, I think this is good. This is good. Be honest with the people. be, be honest with the people that you're hoarding all of the opportunities. And to be honest with you, I think having this conversation with men is going to be a problem. Having this conversation with women is really going to be a problem. I really think these people are scared of women to a certain extent. I really do. Because like there's no way you continue to badger the men to like get in line with subsidizing women that really don't rather not be with them anyway, right? But ain't nobody saying nothing to the ladies. Like once again, that includes the teen wars. Like, bro, this is what you do, right? Like even Khadijah, when she covered this, she couldn't even come out and just say it. She hetero pessimism. Stop, right? Tell the women the truth. Your hypocrisy is punching you in the face, right? As Brad Wilcox said, you're talking left and you're walking right. Your hypocrisy is punching you in the face. That's the problem. Well, that's one of the problems, right? God damn it! I did all of that and I still got the red light. Of course I did, but it gives me a chance to read Dr. Thunder's comment, which is right here. And Dr. Thunder says, Z, you check out my stream this morning? No, I'm curious about your thoughts. Okay, I will check it out, and we might have a stream by tomorrow afternoon, maybe tomorrow night about it. Okay, so I'll check it out. I will. Right. And by the way, so I'm not, as I said the other day, I do believe that classes naturally occur in a society. So Mr. Z is not full-on Marxist, get rid of everything, the whole structure, tear it down, and like no anarchy, like this Marxist. No, I'm not. I'm not there. I'm not there. So when you hear me critique this, understand what I'm saying. I'm saying where we are currently is unsustainable. right? Where we are currently is unsustainable because we are not creating an environment to get young men to be invested in the society. Hyper individuality and pushing individuality and then blaming the individual for systemic issues is a surefire way to have your capitals all across the country on fire, right? This is a surefire way of doing that. And so, you know, I guess this is my inner Adam Curtis coming out, which is I said this before, Dr. Thunder being in here. I've said this before. The left won the culture war, the right won the economic war, right? And so what that caused is this kind of schizophrenic hypocrisy coming from a lot, including the right, by the way. I don't often speak about the right's hypocrisy. I'm gonna have to do a stream about that. I'm gonna have to do a stream about that. Because being a leftist, I talk about the leftist and the hypocrisy on the left all the time. Right? And because the right won the economic war and the left won the culture war, when you as an individual, when it's time for you to become an adult, you know, as you're going through the adulting process, no one's actually telling you what that's going to look like. It's not a surefire thing anymore. There's not a map. And you're going to be punched in the face with the hypocrisy of societal standards. And that's one of the reasons why FD Signify tried to shut me up when I was speaking about the hypocrisy that boys are going to be met with as they mature and get into the dating scene. And he wanted to talk to me about what the girls are going to go through. Nigga, that's not what I'm talking about. Right? Huh. Right? No. If and Calvin says, Z, so you're gonna go on it on us, middle class, upper middle class brothers? No, no. I think y'all serve a purpose. I think every everybody black has a role to play for the upliftment of black people in general. What has happened is the petite bourgeoisie, some of the upper middle class black men and black women aren't actually doing their part for the upliftment of working class and lower middle class and working poor black people. What they did was put class above race, even though they still gotta suffer with race issues. That's the fascinating part, right? They still gotta deal with racial issues, right? They still gotta deal with racists in their environments, whether that's left-leaning racist or right-leaning racist. But that class position, though, and to be able to come back to your mom's neighborhood, to your parents' neighborhood, and stuck in that new E class, that's more important than the upliftment, right, of average black people, economically, but also where they stand in this nation politically, right? So no, I'm not going to go in on upper middle class black people, particularly upper middle class black men. We have upper middle class black men in the black manosphere, right? And them brothers know Mr. Z's working class. And them brothers interact with me. It's always respect. And brothers come on my panel, and I go onto their panel. Right. This is the project for me. Is how women are being used as a buffer class. Women and girls, particularly in the black community, most definitely in the black community. And by the way, this is not even benefiting most women and girls in the black community. That's the kicker. Women and girls and the supposed upliftment of black women and girls, once again, these people don't mean it, is being used to benign neglect black boys and men. And then that then inadvertently hurts black women and girls again. Because black women and girls then throw a fit that the white dudes and the Latinos ain't marrying them on the other side. And then that there's not, supposedly, enough black men on their level. Well, you should have cared about your boys and men. This is the cost of the benign neglect. So, as I was saying, speaking about women and girls in general has been used to benign neglect boys and men, while the elites still get married and run off with the bag. And the bag is the money, the status, the upliftment, right? The political and social and definitely economic dimorphism, Mr. Z, could you get the word out correctly? Right? So that's a lot of what I'm speaking of right now. I think the best way to say it, because I just went a roundabout, long-winded way of saying it, they're using feminism to beat men over the head with, and then the working class women, lower middle class women, working poor women are more interested in the upliftment of themselves in a vacuum instead of seeing this as a class game that the elite white men are playing. There, I just said it. And Chris Tucker says, right? Thank you, Vincent. Financial dimorphism. And what would financial dimorphism entail? That means every couple generations or so, the people with some money don't have some money, and the people with some money may get some money. Can't have that, so we got to rig the game so we keep it forever. Huh? Can't have that. We got to rig the game so that I'm upper middle class, and then my son and daughter are upper middle class, and then my grandson and granddaughter are upper middle class, and then my great grandson and my great granddaughter are upper middle class, and we just keep this going forever. Here's the important part: regardless of talent and ability, regardless of discipline, we just got it rigged, and it's so rigged that we don't even have to actually lift a finger to rig it anymore. College school scandal, new one. Goddamn, see. Right? What was I watching where they spoke of they did some research. What was it? Italy? I want to say it was Italy. And what they saw was, I didn't say 60 years. I think it was like 600 years. It was something stupid. Some stupid law. It was centuries, not decades. Centuries of leadership. I want to say it was Italy. It was either Italy or Greece, but I want to say it was Italy. Centuries of leadership pretty much flowed through about 5 families' hands. Centuries, right? Not years, not decades, centuries. Now, I know that's not America, but I'm saying, like, this is the game that these people want to play. Right? And so they sell to your children, negative liberty, and they package it, and they sell to your daughters in particular negative liberty, and they package it as empowering. I want to be very clear what I'm saying. Packaging negative liberty and the negative cost of negative liberty as liberatory, while these people, white women, elite black women, still get married and have children in wedlock. And hoard the opportunities and the money. But once again, sell your daughter on negative liberty and make negative liberty look sexy. Huh? And that's all they're doing. They're making negative liberty look sexy. Hysterical, Jake. Jake said Medici family chiming in. Right. And I think that's all I wanted to say. It sounds empowering, and I get it. I think these people need to be more honest about the class game that's being played here. And because I think it makes everyone cringe, because no one wants to say it, because we know what the end result might be when you tell a whole bunch of working class and lower middle class men, yeah, it's not a character flaw in you. It's just that you don't got the money and the status, and you're not deserving because you don't have the money and the status. And we're kind of playing this game where we use the women as a buffer class against you. It's pretty much what the Moon Channel said that the South Korean elites are doing, right? Right. Meanwhile, the masses of women are none the wiser. They just mad. Right? They're just mad. Why are black women always told to settle? White women aren't told to settle. Right? They're just mad. The average woman, your middle of the road, working class, working poor, lower middle class woman is just mad. They're just mad at the situation. They working themselves. That's for the ones that working themselves to the bone, 2 jobs, whatever the hell, going to college, barely making it, and they're just mad. Where's the men? Men on the level. Meanwhile, none the wiser about what's going on in the country economically, who's getting married, who's staying married, who's the one that, like, once again, it's the petite bourgeoisie. This entire system is built off of the people that are traveling across country for work, and who can afford to get up and go, and who work from home, and they like they tell you, digital nomads and everything. Those people travel, they have fun, and they meet their wife wherever they meet her, and then they get married, and the whole economy. And Crystal Ball covered this. I would. It's damn near going to be impossible to find this thing. But Crystal Ball spoke of this back when Crystal Ball and Sagar and Jetty were still on the Hill before they started their own thing on Breaking Points. She covered this on one of her segments. The entire economy is being structured to work for the top 20% and whatever the hell they got going on. Everybody else, you get the scraps, if even. Right? And Jake says, ma'am, you're sleeping in your car and eating cereal for dinner. Please humble yourself. Oh, the humble word, though, Jake. The humble word. Right? What did Danica Marie say? Danica Marie and Shay Sade, Riva, and Chantel Simone, when they had that panel a couple years ago, and Danica Marie said, I know my billionaire coming. she had me. She got me when she said that. And I think Shay Sade said, "Yeah, when the billionaire walks into the Shake Shack, I died." I'm telling you, Jake. That's what they holding out hope for that. That's what the hope is there. Oh, but I think Danica Marie said, the billionaire walks into the restaurant and notices you. Hey, we laugh at that, but like Toya's in here. Ask Toya, like that's a thing. Like women have these fantasies playing in their mind. I told y'all they have these fantasies, man. Played. I've had too many I tell y'all, like I done messed up so much opportunities with the vagina in college because I was actually listening to women talk. I don't suggest it. I was actually listening to them talk. I was actually engaging women in college in real conversation, not even just always debate, and just normal conversation. And you'll be surprised. They really have this dream that some rich dude is going to buy them out of the struggle. Like for real, like they're just gonna be living their life, going to school, doing whatever, and some super handsome god of a man is just gonna be like, "You're the one I've been searching for my whole life," and just whisk them away in some like I don't know $500,000 vehicle. Y'all think I'm lying? It's real, right? And Toya says the fantasies are out of this world. Believe me, I'm telling y'all. And by the way, and this is like the inner Jason Black in me. They have this fantasy forever. Like forever. This is what the lady that was on Obsidian's channel when Obsidian covered Bowser, you know, forever ago now, maybe a year ago at this point. And she said like she used the lead attorney as the example, and she was saying like they will get married, they will have children, and like whoever the it guy is, they're still holding out hope for that dude. Even they're married with children, right? Indigo, bro, I'm telling you, they watch too much TV. And it's not just it's TV, and more obviously, it's social media. It's just unchecked, undiluted, like aspirationalism. It's insane delusion. But here's the thing. This is when we got to be honest about the environment and the white dudes. They're being encouraged, right? So back in the day, you know, you eat dinner with your family and your dad and your mom because your parents are married. And so you have this delusion checked. That gives you 1 second. Talk amongst yourselves. And we're back. But yeah, no, these fantasies are real. But like I was saying, like they're being encouraged, right? Women are being encouraged to engage in this fantasy, right? And like at least back in the day, you know, you had a family, you had a nuclear family, you had something to buffer that, right? You actually saw working class men. Your father was a working class man. Even your father was a middle class man. You had something. So yes, your parents wanted you to achieve more. They didn't necessarily want you to stay in their class as a woman, as a girl growing up, a black girl growing up, right? Your parents had dreams and aspirations for you, right? But this unchecked aspirationalism, right? And finding your, and I've said this before, finding your humanity through products, expensive luxury brands. Thank you, Toya. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat, right? Finding your sense of worth through luxury brands, that's being encouraged. That's why I tell y'all, to Z, the final boss is not women. It's not black women. Yes, they need to be held responsible for what they believe in, but they're not the final boss. They're in the way, though. They're not the final boss, but they are in the way, right? And I'm with Rod. They got to be held accountable for what they believe in and being in the goddamn way, right? Jake. And Jake says, oh crap, okay, hopefully you guys can still hear me because I saw Borg out a little bit. And Jake says, black women don't like us messing up their genjutsu of internal delusions. Oh man, hysterical because it's true, right? Thank you. And Indigo says romance novels, movies. I'm saying, right? Toya said, I'll be looking out the front door, yo. Well, through the peephole, right? And by the way, so like, you know, is there? Well, better yet, who said it? What are the brothers from 85? Was it Carlos? It was Carlos. It was Carlos. It was Carlos from 85 South. Who you saw him say that on that interview he had on that radio station? Was it a radio station? Anyway, the interview he had where he was like, men, you might have Beyonce or Rihanna, but we go for what's here. Women be imagining some super dude. He didn't say dude, he said super Negro, some super Negro, right? 10-inch member, forget a 6-pack, 8-pack, 6'7", right? And by the way, so that's an issue within itself. I think the bigger issue here is being encouraged to live in this delusion, and then the second and third order effects of that. Okay, and thank you. Jake says he was on Poor Minds podcast. Thank you. Right. And the second and third order effects of that, and then the effects on your society. Because, like, this sounds all fun, right? This pop culture stuff that we've been speaking about, celebrities and what they're doing with their sexual organs and who they're marrying and who they're dating and whatever entertainer got his woman, and all that pop culture stuff does have real world consequences. What these people are watching, what these young people are watching and listening to, does have real world consequences. Right? Especially when they don't have that buffer of nuclear family, one, of a father and a mother. Hey, let me see your phone real quick. Let me see what you subscribe to. Let me see what you're listening to. Let me see what you're on. Right? Huh. And when you don't have that buffer, it's so much easier for you to fall prey to, right? To be susceptible to this type of imagery. And that doesn't mean, once again, because you gotta, you have to state the obvious. This is not Mr. Z telling people not to try, not to go to school, not to get your education, not to attempt to pass that six-figure point, not to get money, not to be a baller. This is not Mr. Z defecating on upper middle class black people, particularly upper middle class black men. That is not where we are, right? This is not about Z saying that women need to be barefoot and pregnant. Like, we don't even live in that society, right? This is Mr. Z, though, saying there is a cost to selling insane aspirationalism, materialism, consumerism to little girls who then become women. And there's only so many men that occupy a particular class and aesthetic. And then what happens when those women can't get those men? And Jake says, and now you have sugar babies defining dating standards. If you make 50K, you shouldn't date. Jake, did you forget that she said she used to date D-boys? I'm saying, stop talking. Stop talking. I'm not even going to go into her looks. Too easy. First of all, you just X'd out what? 40 some odd percent of men in America? And you X'd out, if we're talking about black men, you X'd out what? A good 70% of black men in America? Men in general, maybe 40-ish percent, trending closer to 50% of men in America? Off top, working class men, boom, gone. Women make statements like that. And then on the other side, be on TikTok or YouTube, I can't meet no men. And men aren't walking up to me. We're listening to you talk. Right? Men are such bad people. That's because you're all dating the same 15 guys. Right? The same 20 guys got all of you in rotation. That's why you're saying that. Right? Like, you make a statement like that. Let's assume she wasn't being hyperbolic. Let's assume she wasn't trolling. You make a statement like that. And on the other side of that are all your homegirls that either tell you these men ain't ish because y'all all dating the same dudes, or all these men are not on my level because you're looking at a good 70% of black men at the least, and about 50% ish of men in America, and say, yeah, not you. Strictly based off of the finances. And let's be very clear, ladies, you're still piping the dudes that you find attractive that don't earn $50,000 a year. Calvin says, full circle, in her case, quick. Right? Or circle lick. Right? It might be a circle flick or a circle lick. It ain't a circle jerk, not over there. Then you wonder why. And then here's the kicker on top of that, particularly in the black community. Adding on to that, then you end up with a black woman who earns less than the black man that you probably would have ended up with. Well, there you go. So that lady who said, if you earn $50,000 a year, then you shouldn't date. Shout out to PK Angel. Like we said, you let them talk long enough, we're gonna end up in Auschwitz. It is scary when you let so many people, white, black, Latino, Asian, man, woman, you let people talk long enough, you be like, wait a minute. Why are we in 1930s Germany? Why are we in 1940s Germany? How the hell we ended up here? Right? We're in World War II Germany. How the hell did we end up here? right? You let people, especially boy, you let women talk long enough. Hey, wait a minute. Why's the short mustache man? Wait a minute. How did I end up here? Who are these German soldiers goose stepping across the street? Right? They're gonna find some way to say some next level. You'd be like, this. Wait a minute. What's this SS badging? Right? You let them talk long enough. You let them talk long enough, and we'll be standing over trenches full of unalive corpses. Right? If you only earn $50,000 a year, you shouldn't be dating. If you're not dating, then that means, well, you're probably not gonna get married, and you're not gonna have children. And yeah, ladies, and what's the consequence of that? Once again, y'all huddle up on a handful of dudes that you see as marriage material, right? And all the other guys are invisible except for the super good looking guys, right? And well, the current dating market, everyone, it's not smart. And Jake says, how did I get into the Fuhrer's bedroom? Hysterical. What was the girlfriend's name again? Anne was it Anne Boleyn? It's not Anne Boleyn. What was her name? The one that looked like his niece that ended up deleting herself after she lived with him. Oops. Um, what was her name? What was his lady's name? I forgot. It's like right there. I forgot it. But yeah, you think these women wouldn't be down with that? Man, eat Eva Braun. Thank you. Why did I say Anne Boleyn? Anne Boleyn was that was the one that what's his name killed in Britain. That's what I was thinking about. Am I right? I think I'm right. Yeah, it's Eva Braun. Eva Braun. Y'all right. All right. The one that couldn't have was that one of the ones that couldn't have a son, and then what's his name had her executed or something like that. I can't remember. I'll be getting my Henry the Eighth. Yes, I think that's the one. Yeah. I want to say you're right. It's one of the Henry that yeah. Wasn't he the same one that started the Anglican Church? I think maybe something like that. All right. So yeah, you see that, people. Black men are multifaceted, right? So coming to a close. He said Russell Wilson out here trying to join the convo. Hysterical. Calvin said yes and yes. So yeah, he did have Anne Boleyn offed, and he is the one that started the Anglican Church. Okay, want to make sure. Um, yeah, um, and he's the father of what's her face, right? Mary, I want to say, yeah, is that the one, or is it Elizabeth, the redhead? I think he's the redhead's father, right? Yes, no, maybe. I can't remember. Yeah, no, yeah. The fact that we know this stuff, European history, well, it gives us an idea why they're the way they are. Anyway, coming to a close, because Mr. Z goes on his tangent. It's not the BGS drift. It's the Mr. Z. The fact that it's the drift. I could have tied that to cars, but we already call it the BGS drift, so I can't call it the Mr. Z drift, right? Elizabeth. Okay, so Elizabeth's dad. Okay, that's what I figured. Elizabeth's father. Okay, yeah, right. Um, I don't know what we're gonna title mine. It can't be the Mr. Z drift because BGS already got the BGS drift. Mr. Z tangent. I got to come up with a better title than that. Um, we covered this today to say first, these people are slowly admitting the class thing. Okay, so the father of yeah, Mary, Elizabeth, and Edward. Okay, okay. Um, we covered this today. Speak about the class element. Secondly, I get the more conservative angle. And speaking about this from that particular angle, I get it. Meh, right? So yeah, the Z factor. I like that. Put it in the book. Yeah, the Z factor. I'm gonna use that. That's gonna be the one. That's the one. That's the one. Right. Rev sessions. Damn, Calvin. Ooh, Jake got you on that one too. Ooh, that's a good one. Rev sessions. That's a good. Ooh. I don't know, Calvin. That rev sessions though. Yeah. Yeah. That. Okay, I'm stuck. I might have to put it into a vote. I might put that into my um what's the word I'm looking for? My community tab and make it a vote because that's hard. I like rep sessions too. The Z factor is really good, but it's giving me Bill O'Reilly vibe. So right. So yeah. Um. Yeah. So we covered this for the class element. We cover this because these people are slowly starting to admit the class and money element. Which, if this is my thing, do I think all men are necessarily deserving of marriage, children, nuclear family? Probably not. If you have a bad drug habit, if you are really physically abusive, um if you from the choka chick tribe, right? For no reason. All of that, maybe not, right? Um but I don't think that's where we are now. We're not in the era of if you are known to go upside a woman's head, then maybe you shouldn't be the one, right? Or if you like playing with little kids, then maybe you shouldn't be the one being married, right? We're not. That's not where we are. Where we are now, you see what I'm saying, Telescope? Where we are now is like pricing out normal, everyday, 40-hour a week, getting up, doing your thing, um, tax paying citizen, a law abiding citizen. We're pricing those dudes out the game, and we're giving them all type of weirdo excuses about character flaw and their political affiliation being the problem, right? And in the black community, that we're putting a whole bunch of misogynoir, colorist, featurist, texturist, blah blah, et cetera, yawn. When really, money and class. Good old capitalism, money and class. Which the class part goes before capitalism. That's been there for forever, right? And I think these people, whether they're politically on the left or politically on the right, although I gotta give the right this, they're more honest about the money part, far more honest about the money part than the left is. The left want to make it purely character flaw, right? Yeah. And PK Angel says, I'm 7 minutes back, but yep, it's almost it's most little mustache mans has seeped into their souls, pun intended. It's most, unfortunately. I think so, man. It's scary. It's scary because if you let people talk long enough, man, I don't think they realize what they're saying when they say it. I, mm, yeah, I mean that. I mean that. I don't think they realize what they're saying when they say it. I think some of them will stand on it though. Let's be honest. Some of them, if you call them out and be like, "Hey, bro, do you realize what you're saying?" I think some people will stand on it. I think some black people will stand on it. Definitely way more than most people would like to be comfortable with. Black women will yeah, I said what I meant. Oh, all right. Right. Sounded like needing leaks. I said what I said. Right. Okay. You forgot you black. You don't. Maybe you don't realize what that means for you. Right. Alexa, play Cat Williams saying "Simple B." Maybe you don't realize what that means for you. You simple. Yeah. Right. Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill was Machiavellian as hell. If you want Winston Churchill, you want to talk about black pill? Oh, Winston Churchill, out of all of those leaders from that era, right? From FDR, Stalin. See, Stalin was pretty Machiavellian too. All of them dudes was Machiavellian as hell. I can't even take away from none of them. All of them were. All of them. The quote unquote good ones, all of them were bad. The quote unquote good ones and the bad ones, all of them were Machiavellian and black pill to another level. All of them. Right? Telescope said FD was Neville Chamberlain. For those of you that don't know, Neville Chamberlain came before Winston Churchill, and he was pretty much ineffectual. And he like from that era of Britain, like they kind of laugh at him, right? He was the one like he didn't think the Germans were going to do what the Germans did. Like he's just like yeah, yeah. He's yeah. He was just I want to say the Brits and somebody like who might be from Brit or the UK or like that knows that his story or that history better than Mr. Z. I want to say the Brits kind of like laugh at him. Like he's not the one. He's not. Yeah, right. He's not that guy. You know, if let me see, who would we compare him to in America? Mondale, even though he wasn't president, Mondale, right? There you go. Just thought about it. Yep. He's Britain's Mondale if Mondale would have been president. Somebody correct Z if you think I'm wrong. Right. So yeah, Neville Chamberlain. Right. Yeah. Michael Dukakis. Good. Okay, you know what? Yeah. Yeah. That's probably better. Right. I said it. Black men are multifaceted. Look at that. I came in here talking about class and money and marriage and having children within wedlock, and now we over here talking about ineffectual leaders or people with bad reputations and black pill and who's Machiavellian or not. Right. Which I don't think you could. I don't think you can be a leader of a nation and like be effectual and not be Machiavellian. I don't think that's possible. I don't think it's possible, right? And there go. And Jake says Brits don't respect Neville because he thought he could negotiate with Germany. Nah, right? Right. So yeah, and plus I think Winston Churchill's his reputation and legacy reigns so large. Yeah, I mean, like, bruh, you the guy before him, like, yeah, right? Like, See, I can't say it's not Tony Blair to Margaret Thatcher. It's mm, I don't want to say Gordon Brown to Margaret Thatcher. No. Huh. Who would I compare that to? Huh. That's too hard because every U.S. president, eh, Gerald R. Ford to Nixon. Yeah, I think I might. Yeah, yeah. Churchill was an alcoholic. Which one of them was it on something? Wait, which one of them was it an alky? Right? Isn't that like how you got things done back in those days anyway? Drink yourself into a stupor and negotiate while drunk, and smoke and cigar smoke filled rooms. Right? And thank you. And Compassion says you don't get in the running to be a leader at that level without being Machiavellian. Exactly. Right. KW, I was like, Churchill was a Aki. Man, look, I'm trying to think of any one of those leaders that wasn't cigar smoking, drinking, um, like with no vices at all, without not a single vice. Ah, yeah. I don't know any one of those guys that didn't have a single, not one vice, right? Yeah, I don't know, right? And Calvin says, yeah, but he was educated beyond most. Yeah, right. FDR was hiding the fact that he couldn't walk, right? Oh yeah, of course, right? And Compassion said nobody was higher than Small Mustache Man. Yeah, yeah. What was he on again? Watch something about this. Yeah, um, yeah, because a lot of it wasn't just him too, in his regime that was on something. But yeah, and it's crazy because Compassionate when you everything when you said nobody was higher than Short Mustache Man, you know what came to my mind? The 3 6 Mafia song, Half on a Sack. And at the beginning it has Juicy J Juicy J saying, get your weed, get your blow, because I'm about to get ha. And my sister, and one of my best friends think that is one of the funniest intros to a um inebriated encouraging inebriation song ever. And so um when I read with your comment, that was the first thing that came to my mind is the intro to that 3 6 Mafia song. And Detro says a mixture of meth, coke, in pill form. Yeah, of course, of course. Remember, y'all, this is like 1930s and early 40s. Oh man. And Detro says literally looked it up the other day. Detro, you do the same thing Mr. Z does? Just be looking up random information, just anything that pops into your mind. Yeah, you know what? I wonder about that. Let me look it up real quick. Oh, okay. Learn something new every day. Hey, Calvin, it's not official yet. We don't know that yet. We don't know that yet. We don't know that yet. He said, "Oh, you mean Joe Biden?" It's not. And by the way, you know they're not going to let us know for real until I'm in my mid 30s. So let's say that'll be classified until it's not classified, and maybe it'll be classified until I'm like 60 or 70 something. Right. Hopefully, still be here. Definitely 70 something, not 60 something. That's 30 years from now. That might be too soon. Right. Good. And Jake says, "How do you get to be president of the United States if you're a sociopath?" Holden, Ford, Wendy, Carr, says, "The question is, how do you get to be president of the United States if you're not mind hunters?" You can't. You're supposed to be managing the request, the population currently sitting somewhere around 340 million people. You are the face of the third largest population on the planet with supposedly the strongest military on the planet and the largest economy on the planet. If you're not a sociopath, why are you even there? Thank you, Vincent. Vincent said this was low key the Doomer stream. No, but I want to bring people up for the Doomer stream. We could call this the pre-Doomer stream, right? But yeah, no, for real. Like, why are you even there? And think about that. You get calls from people. Hey, such and such, the submarine that we've been tracking from such and such. Yeah, it's over here. They're moving their satellites here. We heard this rumbling from our spy in China over here, our spy in Russia over here, our spy in Brazil over there, our spy from our own ally in Britain over here, or in Canada over here, or Australia over here. And you get into this every single day. Oh my God. Right? Hey, Mr. President, I figured out how we're going to be able to slow down the Chinese economy. This is what we need to do. Oh, even though the UK is our ally, remember we're trying to do this with them. Yeah, okay, what's the plan? Okay, we're going to send out people to see how we can beat them in this type of game, and all day, every day, right? You have to manage this for the next 4 years at the least, every single day, right? Oh yeah, we have this giant oil spill um off of the coast of Florida. Okay. Oh crap. Right? Stuff like that every single day. Nah. For at least 4 years. Right? Mr. President, we got Elon on the line. He's mad or better yet, we got Jeff Bezos on the line because he's mad that Elon is the one who won the space contract. Oh boy. Right? Tell Jeff not now. Okay, well, he said he's going to call his local senator. Right? Mr. President, okay, you said you wanted so we're probably not going to get single payer healthcare to be passed. So the healthcare company said they're willing to negotiate with us this way, but we got to make it look like it's a fight on the Congress floor. All right. So yeah, that's crazy. Oh yeah, by the way, I don't know if we can whip up all the votes for this bill that you're trying to get passed. The Republicans are threatening to boycott. We even have a couple of Democrats that's trying to hold the bill hostage if they don't get these particular, right? Yeah. And on that note, y'all, look, Mr. Z going on way too long. I should have been closed out. And PK says sociopath is a toxic trait. I'm just saying. They are just diet excuse me, psychopaths. and that's not good for the world leaders. It's not good that the world leaders have that trait. Yeah, yeah. Look. Oh, and don't forget, um, you also have 6,000 plus nukes, a couple dozen submarines, about a dozen or so aircraft carriers, right? Yeah. We ain't even gonna count the drones, right? Right? And how many thousands of fighter jets and support planes and attack helicopters and yeah. And then we're not even counting what else they have that we don't know about yet. But at least you get to be the face of the empire for at least 4 years, right? Modern day Rome. Yeah. Anybody say anything about Caligula? Anyway, what you said about Mark Anthony? Julius Caesar, what? Right? Yeah. So, um, on that note, everyone, Nero, anyone? Exactly. All right. So, on that note, everyone, we'll pause right here because Mr. Z went way off topic. I'm not even going to say which one yet because look, these where was the because I'm gonna go back. I'm actually going to put it up for a vote between the Z Factor and Rev Sessions for when Mr. Z goes on his tangent and go way off topic. Right, so I got to put it up for a vote. It's Calvin Rogers versus Jake Zero. Right, so I'm gonna yeah. PK said knife party time. Um, so yeah. We'll pause right here. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all have a great rest of y'all night. I just wanted to speak about this because I found it interesting. The fact that we're actually having a conversation about how class and one's finances, the man's finances, play a factor in marriage rates. Um, and I think we need to emphasize this because I think eventually, maybe, possibly, probably not, we can have a conversation about where do we go from here? Because let's be very clear, women are not going back into the kitchen. And not only are they not going back into the kitchen, okay, that's a different conversation. That's not even the conversation we're actually having. I hate this hyperbolic thing like that's what men are trying to get women to do. No. Um, I think speaking to the insane aspirationalism, the delusion, and what people's finances actually look like, what men's finances actually look like, excuse me, emphasizing average and median income for men in America and then letting women do what they will with that information, I think that's important. I like y'all already know Mr. Z's been talking about stripping these people of plausible deniability, right? And I think when you forward the numbers to these people, even if they're going to do what they're going to do anyway, guess what? You can't say you didn't know. And not saying you didn't know has just, I can't even put it in words how much that changes the landscape. Because so much of what Dr. Umar is and what FD Signifier is predicated on the women didn't know better. Right? It's your job to know and be and achieve past this, but she don't need to know or she didn't know better. Right? And when everybody knows the numbers and yet you gambled on the local D boy who got caught up, or the aspiring football player, basketball player who maybe didn't go pro, right? And you put all of your eggs in that basket and it didn't happen, knowing the numbers, I think just changes this fundamentally. And it's not about the women as much as it is about the men. Because once the boys and men know that the women know the numbers, and yet they're doing what they want to do anyway, and putting all of their hysterical frozen eggs in one basket, well, right? I think it frees men, right? It frees men. It frees up men when we know that the women know what the environment is and they're doing what they want to do, how they want to do it anyway. The little simp chip, it's harder for that simp chip to work. When you know she know what the numbers are and she's doing what she wants to do anyway. And she's calling you mediocre and dusty anyway, Ebony K. Williams. Damn, Calvin at the same time. Calvin said Ebony K. I'm telling you. I guess I was telegraphing where I was going to go with that, right? See, when that young lady that we mentioned earlier, the 50K, if you earn 50K, then you should $50,000, then you shouldn't be dating. Yeah, when you tell her, yeah, that's like 40 some odd percent of men, right? That's like a good third of men. Are you saying that a good third of men at least shouldn't be dating? Fine, you said that. Okay, cool. Let's say you're right. What does that mean for women? You just cut down the dating market for women by a third, by 40 some odd percent. Are you willing to share your man? You see, you see where the conversation goes when you ask them to stand on it, or when you demand that they stand on what they're saying. No, let's work this out. Let's work out what you said. Let's work this to its logical conclusion. Right? Fine. You said dudes that's making 50 or less shouldn't be dating, which means they have no prospect of marrying if they never dated. Fine. Right? That's a good 40 some odd percent of men. That's a good 70% of black men. Have fun. I'm telling you, these women be saying these things, thinking that swaggy, with all that swag and all the sass, right? All the snark, especially that black girl swag. They say that all the snark, all that black girl swag, all that sass. Meanwhile, they homegirls out here looking sick, single, lonely, miserable. Just saying. So, okay, y'all. On that note, we will pause right here. Truly, love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content. Mr. Z just went way off the topic, the original topic, right? We didn't talk about everything. And PK says, my Roman history is dusty AF. I need to brush up. Me too. Right? Me too. Yeah, there's a look. That's why I say check out non-Black Manosphere content. Go read something. FD Signifier told us to go touch grass. Right? Good point, Calvin. As black men, wait a minute. I'm probably Borgin. There we go. Okay. As black men, we need to start saying the quiet part out loud. Agreed. I agree. I agree. All right. And that's all it is. To hell with these people's feelings. Right? Because that's what it is. And that's why I'm glad we own Dusty. Own it, right? And Gabrielle says, um, single, lonely, miserable. SLM needs to be a new term. I agree. Let put it in the book, right? 'Cause, like, and I say it. Just because you're single does not mean you're lonely or miserable. It doesn't mean you feel lonely. It doesn't mean you're miserable. There are genuinely single people that are straight. They good. Is that most? Eh. Is that most women? Right. And then definitely in the black community, they think we don't realize it. They think we can't see right past. I can see past that wall, lady. Hey, real talk with Yanni. Oops. Decenter man. Okay, that's it. Look, you're gonna have me here forever. All right, y'all. Y'all have a great night. Like I said, go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content. Mr. Z out. All right, y'all. Later.